We are going to do the part two of hemorrhagic stroke. The last one we did was on intracranial bleed, and today we are going to do another case vignette that is of subarachnoid hemorrhage. So again, the sequence would be the same. We would be going through a case, and with the case ongoing, all the subsequent questions that follow will be with reference to this particular case. Okay. 52-year-old female, history of hypertension, 20 pack year smoking history, presents to the emergency department after the sudden onset of the worst headache of her life while straining during defecation. The headache reached maximum intensity within seconds and it was associated with a brief loss of consciousness, approximately 1 minute, witnessed by her husband and had one episode of vomiting. There was no seizure activity that was witnessed at that point in time. Once she arrived into the hospital, this is 2 hours after the onset. She is drowsy but arousable to the voice. GCS is 13, E3V4M6 with neck stiffness and photophobia. Pupils are equal in reactive. There is no focal motor deficit. Vitals show a BP of 178 by 98 mm of mercury, heart rate of 92 per minute, which is regular, respiratory rate of 18 per minute, SpO2 of 97% on room air, temperature of 37.1 degrees centigrade. You've got random blood glucose of 142 milligram per dl. You do a non-contrast CT head which shows diffuse subarachnoid blood predominantly filling the basal cisterns and both the sylvian fissures with a thin layer of intraventricular blood in the fourth ventricle. There's no midline shift, no hydrocephalus at this point in time. So what is the differential diagnosis of thunderclap headache? And how would you structure the diagnostic workup? Can I have any answers?
We can do CT brain. Uh, if no hemorrhage present, we can do CSF analysis.
So with GCS of 13, E3V4M6 and no focal motor deficit, she is actually WFNS grade 2. Now her CT shows a thick diffuse subarachnoid blood in cisterns or fissures with intraventricular blood, which corresponds to modified fissure grade 3, which would be a thick SAH without intraventricular hemorrhage, which would be grade 3. If you've got a thick SAH with intraventricular hemorrhage, it is grade 4. Now, as she has got a diffuse thick cisternal SAH plus a thin layer of IVH, most of the examiners would grade her a modified fissure 4. And candidates should be able to justify either grade based on the amount or thickness of IVH present. When we talk all modern generation CTs, they've got a near 100% sensitivity for SH within 6 hours of headache onset. And there are now several validated pathways which can actually, you can omit lumbar puncture if CT is performed within 6 hours by a third generation scanner and read as normal by a qualified radiologist. Beyond 6 hours or with a lower generation scanner or equivocal read, lumbar puncture remains the next step. Lumbar puncture should ideally be performed for at least 6 to 12 hours after symptom onset to allow time for red cell lysis and xanthochromia to develop. Then you've got key CSF findings which support subarachnoid hemorrhage over traumatic tap, which are xanthochromia on visual inspection, or preferably if you can do a spectrophotometry. It presents in approximately 100% of true subarachnoid hemorrhages by 12 hours, persisting up to 2 weeks. A red cell count that basically does not fall substantially between tubes 1 to 4 and has an elevated opening pressure. If you've got a falling count from tube 1 to 4, it favors a traumatic tap. But if there's no fall in this count, then obviously it's xanthochromia.
So sorry, could you illustrate CSF finding in the previous question? الكي CSF finding?
Yeah, CSF finding, if you get xanthochromia, it favors subarachnoid hemorrhage. But if you do not get xanthochromia beyond 12 hours, then it effectively excludes an aneurysmal subarachnoid hemorrhage.
Okay, okay,
Okay?
okay.
Right. Now, DSA or catheter angiography, it remains the gold standard and it should be pursued whenever CT angio is negative, despite a CT pattern which is suggestive of aneurysmal subarachnoid hemorrhage, non-perimesencephalic. If there is a diagnostic ambiguity about aneurysm morphology, or there's a neck anatomy which is relevant to treatment planning, coiling versus clipping, or if you want to put in a stent, or if you want to use a flow diverter, or when endovascular treatment is planned, because DSA is performed as part of the same procedure in one sitting. Okay, right. So we go
Okay,
on to
so
the next question.
the second question, the optimal timing for the performance of these two investigations.
Oh, ideally, CT angio is first 6 hours. And if you feel
Okay.
that the CT angio hasn't yielded the result, but still you feel there's a clinical suspicion of SAH, go ahead for DSA. But what I tried to emphasize here is that if you do a CT angio and if you have an aneurysm size more than or equal to 3 to 4 mm, then you actually get results which approach that of DSA in terms of visualization and localization. Okay.
Okay.